Hello everybody, I'm going to make another quick video here. When you're properly monitoring your cells on your battery, there comes a point when you're going to find a cell drifting. It might be like 0.05 or 0.1 volt. It's not a big difference, but it is a difference. So I found a cell like that on this crazy problem trailer. And so I'm going to show you what I do as a temporary fix. Well, it's kind of temporary. It does help, but it might just get you a little bit more life out of your cells. So I'm going to measure this cell back here first. And I can even measure this cell, and then I'll measure, so you can kind of see what the voltage is. These two cells right here are both coming in a little low. So I'm going to show you on the voltmeter so you can see what they are. So here's the normal voltage. So it's a good 2.16 volts. If I come over to this one, I think this one was just slightly lower. 2.15. Not a big spread. But when I measure this guy right here, you'll see that he comes in at 2.1. So he's a solid 0.05 volts low. And if I measure this one over here, kind of the same thing, he is 2.09. Okay, so these two cells are what I would say they're developing like they're getting a little lazy. So what I've done that helps to bring some of these cells back to life is you balance the acids in them. Now you got to be careful when you're dealing with acids, and you never put in the straight acid. This box here is what I picked up, and it's battery fluid acid. Okay, it's danger corrosive, so you got to be really careful with it. But this is not the straight acid. You can see here that it's 1.265 on the acidity, and these batteries actually claim want more. I think they're 1.3. I'd have to look at the little stickers. I don't think I have a sticker visible on this. Yeah, they painted over it, unfortunately. So this battery here, the acid levels can be a little bit higher. So instead of adding distilled water, here's my distilled water. Instead of adding distilled water, I add this pre-mixed, and I stress this is pre-mixed battery fluid acid. So there's a little bit of acid in this, not a lot. And by instead of adding just straight distilled water, I'm adding a little bit of acid back. And what that does is it will eventually, over time, help raise the acid levels in these batteries, these two batteries. Now, I've had some good results on this where I've been able to bring 4 or 5 cells back to life over the course of like 4 or 5 waterings. So this, just depends on what the voltage reads. So you always want to check your voltage. You can also get a hydrometer in there. The real hardcore battery folks like the hydrometer because it measures the gravity of the water. I use the voltmeter just because it's simpler and less messy. And when you're balancing the acids for just that 0.05 or 0.1 difference or differential, the voltmeter seems to be plenty for me, or it's accurate enough. But I recommend to everybody, at least once a year, you need to measure all your cells, and you need to look for those cells that are a little bit lower. Okay, and then instead of adding distilled water, you add the pre-mixed battery acid. So it's mostly water with a little acid, and so you're just kind of introducing a little bit in over time. And I would hope that as you each watering, pay attention to these cells that you're adding the premixed battery acid to, and over time you might see that they will start performing equally to the cells around them. Okay, the battery place up in Salt Lake where I take my trailers to, they call this letting the cell run a little hotter, where there's a little bit more acid in there, But I mean, if you think about it, over time, the battery acid escapes the cell and builds up on the outer shell up here. The whole reason we have to clean these batteries off is to take the acids off that have been building up. So you are, over time, losing acid in your battery. So paying attention to this does help. And anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and water it now. This little spout has a little safety valve, which is kind of nice. And so I'll just dump the battery acid into my normal watering bucket, and then I'll just dump it into the cell. And like I said earlier, it can take 2 or 3 waterings, I think, before you start noticing a little difference. It's a very slow and steady kind of change, but it definitely is something that everybody should be doing on their battery maintenance, just to track the overall health of their batteries. All right, everybody, I'll let this video wrap up. Boy, I've got a lot of videos to post this week.